Okay, guys, let's get to it. We got a couple announcements. It's good to see everybody's faces. So, a couple quick announcements. Huge shout out to everybody who participated in the little like impromptu plate challenge that we did last week. It was just the basics, right? It's just two plates, 30 minutes of movement, and hitting your water target. But I saw tons of really great ideas. It was really cool because it was nice to see everybody kind of return to the basics, but we also have a handful of new people that aren't Fitme clients that were participating, and everybody was like super nice and supportive and encouraging, and it was just like really cool. And so I think we're going to continue on with that this week. I've got a kind of a different idea in mind, but still basics and building momentum. And so huge shout out to everybody who's hitting the basics. Honestly, returning to them multiple times throughout the year is the way to do it. To be honest, that's the magic. Return to the basics. And I know a lot of people have also been focusing on steps and water. Brenda, you're one of them. Brenda, you're crushing it on your movement. And sometimes it's funny. It's like, it's hard. And then once you get some momentum going, and you can build up some consistency, then it feels less hard to keep it going. And so sometimes just getting an accountability buddy or hopping in, like I know we put together a Marco Polo group last month for movement accountability, and there's one this month just on accountability. But even if you can just get a buddy and say like, help me get the ball rolling, that is sometimes all you need, is somebody who can do that with you. And then once you're in a groove, you can start to build those consistent reps. I can speak to that myself. For a while there, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get 10,000 steps. It just doesn't seem possible in my day. And now that I'm doing it consistently, I'm like 50 days deep. And I'm like, okay, I just needed to get it rolling. And I've seen that in a ton of people also. And so great job if you've been focusing on that. And if you've been like, I want to, but I just haven't jumped in, it's not too late. Every day is your day to return to basics or to like pop in with accountability buddy and start building some momentum. And then last two announcements. So early bird registration for Fitme event goes through May. And so you can save $100 on your registration. This event this year is going to be epic. It's just one. Last year we did two, one on each coast. This year we're just doing one. We're all going to be in one place. And I was chatting with Molly earlier this week, and we were like talking about all of the cool things we're going to do there. And the cool things are 100% worth going. But more than that, it's just being willing to set aside time for yourself to fill your cup, to connect with people, to be surrounded by like-minded people. I can't tell you what that does for you, to put yourself in a place where everybody's trying to work hard and be better and give themselves grace, but also push. Like being around people like that just gives you energy and momentum. And there's so much, I don't know, like lately more than ever, the whole world seems pretty negative and down and hostile. And so put a benchmark in your year to set aside to come and be with your Fitme family and to spend time working on yourself and be with the Fitme coaches. And so September 16th through 18th is Fitme weekend. Again, early bird registration goes through this month. And if you're not sure if you should go, just talk to your coach about it or reach out to somebody who went last year and get an idea of what it's about. A lot of people expect it to be like rah, rah. It's not rah, rah. It's not. I mean, it's all the things, but it's not like that fluff kind of like motivation, twinkle, twinkle that doesn't do anything. This is real deal stuff. So that announcement. And then last announcement is that this week we are like offering our scholarship, our helper scholarship. So if you know anybody who is a teacher, educator, or in the healthcare profession that would benefit from being a part of Fitme, then they should apply for this scholarship. It's the Fitme 2.0 package plus a couple of bonus extras, and we're going to give it away to one person. And so they need to apply. The scholarship will be open from Monday until Sunday night. So if you have somebody specific in mind who is a teacher, an educator, or in the healthcare field in any way that they are in any of those things, then they can apply for that scholarship, because we're going to give away one spot. And I think that's it. I think that's it for announcements. Today we're talking about how to warm up. And this is one that if you spend, any amount of time with us, we're telling you to move, right? If you didn't hear it today, you heard it yesterday, you heard it last week, you heard it somewhere. We're telling you to move. And part of that movement can just be intentional movement like walking or something like yoga. And part of it should be workouts. And we're telling you that we want you to do some strength training. It's really important for us as women to build strength, to build muscle mass. It's important for our bone density. So if we're going to do strength training, or if we're going to do workouts that feel like maybe high intensity or CrossFit-ish or boot camp, how do we warm up? How do we warm up? There's a simple formula for this, and everybody in Fitme should know it. Now, if you go to a class, ideally, the instructor will help you warm up. And we've talked about this topic before and gotten some really good, back and forths. Sometimes you might actually need to do a pre-warm up to put your body in position to be ready for class. Just depends on the class. Now, there's a couple components to warming up that are key. First is getting your blood pumping enough to have just a tiny bit of a sweat. Think of it as the amount of warmth that you would take your sweatshirt off. That is first. So if you're in a gym setting, that might be walking fast on a treadmill. Maybe that is hitting a bike. Maybe it's an elliptical machine. It could be anything. It could be going for a jog. And we're looking for something in that like 4 to 5 minute range. 4 to 5 minutes of getting your blood pumping. Again, just enough so that you're like, okay, let me take this sweatshirt off. I'm moving now. Once you have done that, then you need to prep your joints. So 1 is get the blood pumping. 2 is prep your joints. And this can be different for everybody, but essentially you want to do some sort of movement through the range of motion that you're probably going to use that day. So maybe you're going to be doing some squats. Well, you might sit down and do some hip stuff. You might do some like gentle lunges. You might do some things that feel like you're moving your knees and your hips through range of motion, but you're preparing your joints. It shouldn't be anything that's hard. It could look like stretching. So it could look a little bit like stretching, but it shouldn't be hanging out for long times. That's one of the actual mistakes that people make in their warm-ups is they get down on a foam roller and they start to roll and smash, and then they're like reaching for their toe and they're hanging out there for 3 minutes. That's a post-workout thing. That brings your body down, right? Like think about a massage. When you're getting a deep massage, that brings you down. It doesn't get you ready to work out. So you can kind of get into those positions, but you're just not going to hang out there for a long time. So you might get into a runner stretch. You might like get into a figure 4 kind of thing where your hips up. You might like move your arms up above your head and reach up and like to each side. Again, you're just prepping your joints for whatever it is you're going to do. That's piece 2. Piece 3 is to actually prepare for what it is that you're going to do in the workout. So if you're going to be squatting, you're actually going to squat. You're going to do the thing that you're going to do in the workout, just lighter. It might just be your body weight, or it might be an empty bar, or it might be the smallest dumbbell you have, whatever it is. So if you're pressing, maybe you're getting a couple like 2 or 3 pounds and you're pushing those overhead before you grab the 10s and 15s. If you're going to be squatting, maybe you're just holding a dumbbell at your chest and you're squatting before you start doing the thing. So now you're preparing yourself for the actual workout, whatever it is. And then last but not least, mentally just get yourself set up, get your head in the game, right? Like warming up also means like getting a little bit pumped up to do the thing. So play a game with yourself. You know what I mean? Like look in your journal. I highly recommend, if you're not tracking your workouts in your Fitme app, you're tracking them somewhere. So if this is the one tip you take away from today's call, get yourself a workout journal. It can be a, composition notebook. Again, you can use your Fitme app. You can write little notes to yourself in your iPhone or your Google phone, whatever you have. Like, you can do whatever, but take notes. And sometimes those notes are the last thing I look at before I start my workout. I kind of refresh my head of like something that I've done that's similar, or like what I want to do today. And it just kind of gets my head in the right space. Or I'll just write out what it is that I'm going to do. So it's like a little bit of a mental prep. So again, I want to go over the warm up because I want everybody to feel comfortable with this, because if we skip the warm up, sometimes the workouts can feel harder and we put our body at risk for injury. And we actually perform better when we warm up, right? Like, every athlete out there has some sort of warm-up routine. Guarantee Amy, when she competed in swimming, had some sort of warm-up routine that she probably still does. Anybody who competes has a routine. And so it's important for us, everybody in Fitme, you can be like, well, I'm not doing anything special. I don't care. I still want you to do a warm-up routine because it teaches your body to get ready for the exercise. And so when you do your warm up, your body's in the right place, your mind's in the right place, and let your warm up be your minimum. Let your warm up be your minimum. So if you're like, I don't want to do anything today, I'm not doing that workout that Sam wrote for me, I'm not doing it. At least get your head to a place where you'll do your warm up. So get in there and say, you know what, minimum I'm going to do is my warm up. I'm going to do 5 minutes of, fast walking. I'm going to do my joint prep, and I'm going to do a couple of reps of the things that are written in my workout. That's my minimum. And if that's all you got in the tank today, then fine. But probably if you do that, you'll probably be down for doing some version of what Sam wrote for you, or Tabby. And so that's another reason to develop this warm-up routine, is it gives you like a default just in case you don't feel like it. But oftentimes the warm up can switch you from not feeling like it into feeling like it. And so then you can actually do your workout. So I'm going to go over it again, just because I want to summarize. This one's pretty straightforward, and you get to figure out what works for you. So the very first thing you're going to do is spend 4 to 5 minutes getting your blood pumping. It can be it could be jumping jacks. Again, if you're in your house and you're like, what am I going to do? It can be jumping jacks, but you could bike, you can jog, you can walk fast. You can row, you can elliptical machine, you can anything so that your blood is pumping and you're starting to get your heart rate up and you're feeling that feeling of taking your sweatshirt off, that kind of feeling. Next, you're going to do some sort of joint prep, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's just, again, rotating your wrists. We don't have to like think of anything crazy, but if you're not sure, then just ask. This is part of why you've got your coaches and your team behind you, is so that if you're like, I have no clue what I should do for joint prep, we got you. We will help you figure it out. But joint prep is number 2. Number 3 is kind of like a rehearsal. You're practicing what you're going to do in the actual workout, but with really light weights. And then part 4 is get your head in the game. So mentally commit to doing the workout to the best of your ability for that day. If you've got a journal, write something down, get yourself ready, and then do the workout. So what are your thoughts and questions on this topic?
Christy, it's Paige. Can you hear me?
Hey, Paige.
I actually have a question, and it's kind of silly, but I've been trying to run for more cardio, and I haven't actually thought about like warm up. I mean, of course I walk some and run some, but is there anything specific that you think would be ideal for running?
Yes, I do actually. So even with a running workout, if you're going to do like, hey, I'm going to go for a walk run, doing a warm up is a great idea. And so the same thing applies, Paige. So what I would want you to do is get your blood pumping. Maybe that's just a couple high knees. Maybe it's some butt kickers, something like that, where you're going back and forth. Maybe it's some jumping jacks. Your joint prep is likely going to be around your shins and your ankles. And so maybe you stretch your ankle out on a curb. So you put your toe up and you lean into it on each side. Maybe you do some like toe pumps. You might do some knee stuff. A runner's stretch often looks like a deep lunge, where you get into that for a second or two and switch sides. You could even, Paige, you could even like YouTube runner warm up and then adapt it to you. But I totally think that would be a good idea, especially if you're building up your running, because then you're going to be like more warm, and warm bodies just get less injured, to be honest.
Those are actually some ideas. Some I've done, but some I hadn't even considered. So thank you for the suggestions. Awesome ideas.
And if Paige, if you can't find anything on YouTube, then I know Tori can help us out with some ideas of a couple joint prep things for specific for running.
That's awesome. I've got to follow up with her coming up too. So that's great.
Yeah, Amy has got some too, because she works with triathletes, and so she knows what they need to do. But I think that was a perfect question, Paige, because it's like, well, do I need to warm up for that? Yes. Is doing warm-ups fun? No, not always.
Hey, it's Annette.
Hey, Annette.
Did you say the fourth step is a mental prep?
Yeah.
And can you give examples of how you do your own mental prep?
Yes.
I mean, so, besides just saying, oh, I can do it. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a really good question. Is that what it is? No, it's not even that. So for example, like maybe if I am going to be doing like a CrossFit workout, for example, like a workout that's for time, like I know I'm going to be doing this thing for 15 minutes. My mental prep might literally be to think about how I want to pace it. It might be like, okay, well, I'm going to go like medium pace throughout. I'm going to try to speed up at the end. And I think this is going to be the hard part. So I'm going to really dig deep here. So I just kind of think about it for a second. What's going to be hard? Before my knee was injured, Annette, when I used to do this, when I was in the Navy, when I was running a lot, I used to think about the part of the run that I knew was going to be hard for me. So I used to think about, okay, you know that it's going to be hard around like mile 2.5. And so you'll probably be passing this thing. And I would think about it in advance so that when I was there, this is like a really funny strategy that most athletes use. But oftentimes, if you can picture it happening in advance of doing it, then when you're actually there, it's not the first time you felt it. And so the familiarity of it makes it easier. So the mental prep is actually designed to make the workout easier. And I like to think it through. So even if it's just a list of things like, okay, I'm going to be squatting, I'm going to be doing some presses, and I've got like some burpees and bike, I'll think about it and think through what the hard parts are going to feel like and what I want it to feel like. And then when I get there, it's easier. Does that make sense, Annette?
Yeah, and then this might sound like a dumb question, but like how far ahead do you think about? Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do a Peloton today. Like I come up with a workout a couple minutes before I start a workout. So I don't know how to,
That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to. So again, it's kind of like based on how important it is, right? So like if you're competing in a race, so for example, if Amy was competing in a triathlon and she's super serious about it, guaranteed she is taking time before the event to mentally prepare and think all the way through the entire thing, start to finish, transitions to what it's going to feel like to get on the bike, what it's going to feel like to get in the water, like anybody who competes, like that is a good rehearsal. But if it's just like a regular day on the Peloton, you don't need to do all that. But maybe you want to think to yourself, okay, I'm going to do a 45-minute today. Like, what's my best at a 45 minutes? Have I ever done one of these before? And again, it's just like a little bit of like pre-thought of what you want. Think of it more like intentions. What's your intention for this workout today? Am I going as hard as I can? Am I going to like just get through it and move my body? Am I trying to beat my best score? Am I trying to like, team up with a friend and beat them? And going into a workout with intention might be how you apply that, Annette. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think most people just save that strategy for athletes, but I think everybody should do it. It's just a great strategy to make things easier.
So it really depends on the day when I'm going in. And like you said, taking that time to really figure out like what effort you're putting in, especially if you're doing a bunch of different movements, like where can I push myself? Those high intense cardio workouts I love, but you put me on that assault bike and I just want to die. Like I cannot give 100% on that bike to save my life. So definitely mentally preparing for what's ahead of you during that workout it's really important.
Lisa, it sounds like you need more assault bike in your life to get past that limiting belief, because I bet you can go 100% on there.
Awful.
Just like Brenda needs more ropes in her life, or burpees.
Burpees for
There you
sure.
go.
Everybody needs
There
more.
you go.
Chrissy, I don't know why you're not walking outside. It's beautiful.
Well, I was
Lying. I'm getting
outside. I'm soaked.
drenched. No, I can hear her, and that's what my house sounds like. So I didn't grab my jacket though. I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at
was
all you
just
dry
outside.
people.
I was just outside getting drenched working in the yard, so I'm still soaked. Actually,
It's not cold though.
no, it's nice.
No, Lisa and I went, she helped me get some of my steps in. We had our golf umbrellas. It was miserable. And like an hour later, we're in here and it's like not raining and the sun popped out. It's like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Music. We talked about music on another call too, and how
Yeah.
important that is a big mental prep for me if I'm doing a dry land workout, dry land as opposed to being wet in the water. So like picking the right song, especially like the Peloton, because there's like the app and there's so many different things that you can choose from. So that might be part of your mental prep. Like, hey, what kind of music do I want to listen to? Do I want to listen to Britney or what? So
I love that.
Sarah
That's
said
a great,
yes.
that's a great point and idea. Again, it's like sometimes just getting mentally ready is turning up the music. That's a part of that routine of like, all right, it's time to do the thing. If you've never done a warm-up routine or created one for yourself, this is your opportunity to do something that will really make a difference for you. It will make your workouts better. And if you go to a place where they are doing a class, but they really don't do a good warm-up routine, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to quit that place. Just get there early enough so that you can do your own warm-up routine. And that way you're preparing your body and you're getting in the right physical and mental space to do the workout. And you're not relying on the coach who may or may not do the warm-up that you need, especially if you're coming out of an injury or you're easing back in, then that's even more important if they're not doing an adequate warm-up routine.
I think that's a really good point too, because everybody's body takes longer or shorter to warm up depending on who you are. I used to go to swim meets and I would have to warm up for an hour and a half, where most people would warm up for 15 or 20 minutes, and it's still the same. So it might take your body a little bit longer to warm up, but that cue of like the heat is a really like that works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another important note about warm-ups is that sometimes you might have aches and pains. And this is not medical advice, so do not think this is medical advice. I'm just giving you trainer advice. Typically, like creaky aches and pains that go away during a warm-up are usually okay to work through. So for example, once you've done exactly what we just talked about, you got your blood pumping, you went through your joint prep, maybe your knees were a little sore before, but then after your warm up, you're like, they feel pretty good, then you're probably good to do your workout. But if you've gotten through the warm up and you're still feeling like it hurts, then you need to change it so that you're not going through pain in your like motion, right? So again, not medical advice, just like a trainer rule of thumb that usually, because our joints actually lubricate when our blood starts pumping and they'll feel a little better. So if you have arthritis in your joints, they might hurt before. And then once you're warmed up, you're good to be able to move through the workout. But if it still hurts at the end of your warm up, then that's also a good signal that you may need to adjust your workout today and not go through that joint.
That's like one of my favorite things about warming up with a run, you know, or like for a run, when my knees feel super creaky at the beginning. And then as I run, they're like not creaky anymore. It's like, that's when I know that I'm warmed up, you know, like it's like synovial fluid. Yay.
Mm-hmm. They say motion is lotion. There you go. I didn't make that up.
That will never sound right to me.
It never sounds right, but it's easy to remember.
It was hard for you to say. I saw it.
It's also correct. I just wanted to see everybody's faces when I said it, because it is correct.
I feel like who says that? Like, it makes sense, but I'm not sure that I've ever heard that.
Lauren says it. Lauren says it quite a bunch.
Yeah. It makes sense, but it
does. Still sounds wrong.
Not where I thought you were going with it either.
It sounds wrong. And then those creaky pieces of you, they're called like crepitus, which is a stupid word. Doesn't that sound terrible? It sounds like you're a mummy and you've got like crepitus, you know? So anybody have any other questions or thoughts before we wrap up? Sweet. Well, everybody has their homework for the week. This one's really straightforward. I want you to create your warm-up routine. And if you already have one, then refine it, make it a little better. If you are unsure, even after this call, you're like, I still don't know what to do, then reach out to your coach and we will help you. Like, we want to help you create a warm-up routine. And it's going to be something that you'll be able to put in your toolbox and use forever. And so this is a really good one to figure out right now. Sweet, guys. Well, I'm going back out to finish a tiny bit more in the yard and get soaked like Amy. If y'all need anything, just reach out, but it's wonderful seeing your faces. Let me take a quick pic. We haven't done that in a while. Turn your screen on real quick. Picture time. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we got almost everybody. All right, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Sweet. Great to see your faces. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.